Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. Have you ever thought about creating the adventure of your lifetime and having a really cool job and being able to do a bunch of really cool stuff, and somehow it just doesn't ever seem to come true in the way that you would like it to come true? And you know your job, the other guy got the promotion, and you're just not moving forward in personal life. You're feeling stuck. uh and somebody's out there going, what are you in my car? What are you doing? How do you know all this stuff? And so we've got Dr. Karen with us today, and she is a coach. She is an executive coach, and she's a counselor, and she does all kinds of different things so that we can negotiate this thing that we call life, that a lot of people, well, I think all of us to one degree or another, have trouble negotiating and conquering this whole process that we call life. And so that at the end of the day, as my sister says, when the expiration on the bottom of your foot comes up and it's that time and it's all over, that you can say, man, I had a good time and I left it all on the table. So with that, Dr. Karen, welcome. How are you?
I am wonderful, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me. We're going to have a ball today.
Oh, we is. we we most certainly are, and it's because I love talking about business and coaching programs. And by the way, I want to get this out early and often. I have been doing this for a while. I've interviewed over 2,000 people, and I have a coach. This
Necessary.
coach helps me see things that I cannot see myself, because we all have blind spots. We all have ego, and we all think we know what we're doing when actually we have no earthly idea of what we're doing or why we're doing it and stuff. So it's really helpful. So thank you for doing what you do, and go ahead and describe for our audience what you do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I definitely want to start off like Kevin. So one of my quotes that I always say is, "Life is not a sport you want to participate in without a coach."
It's the only way. I have you ever played baseball?
Not professionally.
Well, neither did I, but I played, in little league and stuff. Without a coach to teach you how to do it, you're never going to be successful, because it's a hard sport and stuff. So, but learning how to do it, somebody else has to teach you, because you don't inherently know, right?
Exactly. 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 So MK Circle CEO Institute, MK Circle Enterprises. My company we are executive coaching firm, but we also work in leadership training, cultural resets. We do cultural assessments, organizational assessments, but we have three divisions. One is our executive coaching and leadership training division. We have a counseling and life counseling division where we work with people who just want to become the CEO of their life, right? Want to be the GOAT of their lives. And then we have our small business strategy coaching division. So we have three different divisions, and we do this amazing work for like no respecter of persons, right? So we don't have one set target market. We work with all those who want to grow, whether it's an organization, whether it's a small business, whether it's a small business CEO, whether it is a mayor, whether it is a judge, whether it is a doctor. So we work with all, because we all have our own separate journeys, and we really focus in on journey, and not that it is a precise thing that you're looking for, but we help you walk through the journey to get you to that place, so you are happy about the work that you are putting into the world.
And I just want to just want to get it out there just in case, and you don't have to tell me who you are. But if you don't understand what the term goat means, it's not the animal, it is greatest of all time. Somebody, somebody's in the audience go, "Oh, that's what that means." Okay, so, and you can become the greatest of all time because I believe that inherently we were all born great, but
Mhm.
throughout the course of our life, people keep telling us, you ain't so great. You're not so good at this, and you're not so good at that. And you're a little fat, and you lose. Are you losing your hair? And things like that, and stuff. So, it's important to
Right,
have the
right.
support from what you do.
Absolutely. And we love our work, right? So the goal is to help people be in a better space. And kind of what you were just saying, like that none of that matters, right? Let's focus on really what's effective and what does matter for us, not necessarily what matters what somebody else believes, but your life is your life. And so, again, we work from the professional space, we work from our personal spaces, and we work from the business spaces. And we just help people grow their businesses, and I love what I do every day.
When you walk into a business and the CEO or whoever is talking to you to hire you, and they say, we cannot figure it out, but we keep on losing people, but we
Mm,
don't know what the culture is or what the problem with the culture is. How do you help them out?
mm. Well, the first thing I say is that culture starts at the top. So,
Oh, they don't want to hear that.
well, I mean, I'm not in business to tell people what they want to hear either, though, Kevin, right? I really want to help people grow, and we will have to hear some of those things that are not always so comfortable. Now, I don't necessarily say it maybe so direct, but I definitely go. I have usually so I created an assessment, and I don't know we've had this conversation before, but I created an assessment in my research. So I have a doctorate in psychology, I have a doctorate in business administration, right? So I merged those two theories together, and I did some work with a colleague of mine to create what is called operational styles. And I've now taken that and moved it into just this different space where it's even more accurate than it's ever been. And what it does is it allows individuals to truly see how they operate. And when I say operate, I mean when you walk in the room, what are you going to do? What are you going to say? What are you thinking? So then that you're aware of those things that will actually make you effective or make you not effective, or make you see things from a growth mindset or make you see things from a fixed mindset. So we start there. We have them take the assessment. Then we kind of walk them through what that means for their journey as a leader of an organization. And a lot of times the epiphanies are like, oh, I'm expecting this, but I haven't set expectations. I want this, but I haven't told them what I wanted. I've just assumed that they know. And that is such a big, right, left turn for so many organizations. I hear all the time from small business people who are funding small businesses. They go, oh, small businesses don't succeed because they don't have money. I said, that's not true. Small businesses succeed because the CEO is not clear about who they are. They started something in their kitchen probably, or started something with a friend, and they love to do it, but then they didn't think about what does that mean for me and how I'm going to sell it, how am I going to create it, how am I going to expand it, right? So we start from the operational style first, so we can get the big epiphany of, oh, this is who I am, and this is how I'm going to apply to my business, and this is where I need to get out of the way, or this is where I need to hire people. And once that starts to happen, then it's an easier discussion for us to talk about why your culture is in a space where people are leaving, because then the aha moments come from the actual top to say it could be me, or it is me that could be stopping or moving or not moving the organization forward.
Can I make a confession here?
Absolutely.
I have what's called founder syndrome. Hi, Kevin, you've got founder syndrome. And what I've been told that is because it's me. Now, keep in mind, I was a general manager of several major restaurant properties and was a
Mhm,
national sales manager. And I worked for other people, and it was their money, and it was their
mhm,
vision, and it was their thing. And so, consequently, I followed through and did my best to make sure that their vision was met. And sometimes that meant letting people go. Sometimes that meant asking for more money from people, from clients, and that kind of stuff. Well, I find myself now doing what I'm doing, and I'm what they call the founder. And because it's me, I have trouble doing all the things that I would do if I were an employee. Dr.
mhm,
Karen, I need
mhm.
help.
Right, right. So now we're talking about this whole concept of being the founder and expecting it's your baby. Ooh, right?
Oh,
It's
yes.
my baby. It's my project. It's like my is not gonna make you money.
Let me write that down.
The M or the Y, neither one of them are gonna make you money. So you have to again understand who you are to be able to figure out how do I delegate? How do I bring in resources? Because everybody doesn't do it the same, and that's okay. So when again, when people go, "Oh, we have this business program, and if you just follow these steps," you're asking everyone to be in a cookie cutter situation, and it's just not possible. Our
Oh,
our work is fluid.
I'm I I have another story to tell you. I got sold a program that was this program is it's the cat's meow. It's the absolutely best in the world at we're going to teach you how to get sponsorships. And you
Mhm.
follow this thing, and there's a 12 step, and then there's a thing, and then you follow this, and you do that, and you will be wildly successful at what you're doing. Just give us, thousands of dollars in order to have
Mhm.
this privilege.
Mhm.
And what we found was that nobody was doing business and nobody had a business model like we have. And, and it got to the point where they were like, hmm, I'm not really sure how we're going to help you because
Right.
they had no earthly idea. Because you're right, it's not a cookie cutter thing.
Absolutely
It's
not.
unto its own. Everything is unto its own.
Yes, that's why we believe in journey, right? Yes,
Yeah.
we have specific curriculum and specific tools, but those tools that work for you this way will work for somebody else a different way. Like we don't believe in one sector is one way. I always tell clients that you may be in this sector, but I encourage you to look outside of your sector because the way they're selling it, you might can use that particular tool versus the one you're using. So what happens in businesses is that we get stuck in our sector, insurance or whatever, right? Or restaurants, and we just keep doing it the way the restaurant does it. Whereas like once you look outside and see what Geico is doing, how is Geico selling? Could you sell the way they sell? Is there something that's missing? But if you don't have that opportunity to take a look outside, again, the cookie cutter package is just not going to work for everybody. So we journey everything. It's all about a journey. It's about here's some curriculum, here's some work. But once you do this work the way we think your business would work, and then we're able to help them. And what happens is our success rate gets higher, right? So then we have the 98 percentile of referral rates. We have the 97 percentile of clients continuing with us because now they see these milestones happening without us saying, here, take this product and you have to do it exactly this way in order for it to work. And it just doesn't. A lot of times there's products that you're talking about, Kevin, they buy them. And I ask, I said, where's that big binder that you bought, in 1987? Have
Oh,
you used it?
I
You
haven't
know,
seen that. I haven't seen that in
right,
3 months. I don't know where it
right.
went.
And you spend how much on it? Where's the binder? Where's the binder with all the tabs?
And everybody is going to try and sell you another slick program where you don't have. I get the biggest kick out of this. We're going to show you how to do this so that you don't have to do the work. We're going to make it easy for you so that you. I don't know that there is such a thing
There,
that you can do you can skip all of the work. Am I wrong? I mean, is there a magic thing out there?
there is no magic thing. And what's so funny, I'm laughing because, it's very true, right? This whole any kind of get rich quick, any kind of get it done real fast, all you got to do is push a button. It's just the way people are selling. That's a sale technique. And I'm not mad at them for that though, because business is business. You can sell. That's the goal, is to sell. But honestly, every single business owner, what I call small business CEOs, because I say the moment you decided to create a business, start a business, you became a CEO. So the moment that happens, you have to understand that there is going to be the founder syndrome, and you have to figure out how to work through that. You're going to have to figure out how do you make money, which is coming the business plan. You have to understand the business model. You have to know what is the model that's going to make you money. How are you going to take that and arm that out where you're doing different types of things that all still tie into your work? And that takes time. That's not overnight. And I'm constantly saying that because of people get frustrated. They go like, "Oh my God, it's not working." And I always have the flight CEOs, the ones that it's not working, I'm flighting, going to the next one, flight, 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 flight. And flighting is going to do nothing but cost you a lot of money with no return, because ROI does not happen overnight. ROI, return on investment, for the for those who are saying, what is the ROI, right? But for the return, you must have time on task. You must be able to put stuff into the market, let us see what happens. I'm a firm believer of pilot testing, because that's how you know your market is the right market for your product. But if you just throw it out there and go, what is it, throw it on the wall and see if it's going to stick, that's not a business model. That's a model for no money.
Maybe that's the problem. I'm just kidding. But you're right, and especially when you, I feel so sorry for these people that they buy into what somebody's telling them. Now I'm a buyer. I joined Amway 3 times. You'd have figured out that it's a multi-level marketing thing. You'd have figured out that I wasn't very good at it by the first time, maybe the second time, but I don't know. I had to go in and do it 3 times. And but I feel sorry for people like they get a franchise or something, and it's like a restaurant, and they end up, in order to make it work, they have a futon in the back where they sleep at night, and they're working 90 hours a week and stuff like that, because they don't have the resources, they don't understand, they don't know, and
Yeah.
all of us don't know. It's like when you were just sitting there talking about all the things that you have to do, a business plan and a marketing plan, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people's eyes just kind of glaze over when you
Right.
start talking about all these things that they have no idea what they got to do and how they're going to get that done. So I think that investment wise, a great investment is to hire somebody who actually knows how to do that and has your vision in their mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's an option. But here's even a little trick that we use with our clients all the time, because they go, "Oh my God, I need a business plan. I don't know how to do it. Can you do it for me?" And we go, "No, we're going to create a pitch. You're going to just create a pitch. You're going to get 10 decks, slide deck of 10 slides, and we're going to create a pitch." Because honestly, a pitch is a business plan, but it's just pretty and fun and easier to do. And it comes with PowerPoint. So sometimes we will walk a client through a pitch and have them answer the same questions you would answer for a business plan. And then now you have this pictures and visual aid, and it covers the finance part. It covers your, if what's your audience. It covers everything a business plan would cover. But now you have it in the form of a pitch. And all you have to then do is, from that pitch, turn that pitch into paper. So take those words and put them on paper, same kind of order of sub, titles, subtitles, everything that's right there in the pitch. And we have found that to be extremely successful, because it becomes something that they enjoy doing, because they get to go do a piece of them, which is the creative side, but it also says, okay, I can handle the word pieces too, and bullet points and things of that nature, to make it easy. So we actually encourage a pitch over a plan. So if you create the pitch, you pretty much have your plan.
That's brilliant. Why did you where were you? Because and that can be like a marketing kit as well, or
It just
yeah,
becomes a
marketing.
little bit of everything. You can then segment it out. It's your finances, it's your marketing, It becomes really everything you need, and all you have to do is take it from the pitch to the paper.
Yeah, I never understood the business plan where they say, "Well, how much are you going to make next year?" Hell, I don't have any idea,
Right.
and stuff like that. By the way, we're talking with Dr. Karen, and it's Semien-Mcbride, right?
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
Very nice. MK Circle Enterprises LLC, and go to mkcircle.com. We need to
Yes.
take a really quick break. And when we come back, I want to ask her because, times they be a different than they used to be. I
Mm.
grew up in the era of relationship selling and getting out there and talking to people. And now there's this thing about, well, just put it on your website and they'll figure it out, and you don't have to go out and individually seek out your clients, that they'll find your website, and then they'll buy it from there. And I want to get your opinion as to I keep getting told, now, Kevin, get out of the 90s, get out of the 90s. And I keep saying, yeah, but I don't know that relationship selling is ever going to go away. Dr. Karen is going to tell us whether that's true or not right after this.
You're listening to Positive Talk Radio. We're going to take a short break to tell you audio and music creators about our commercial affiliate, Lyric Vids, specializing in creating amazing and engaging lyric videos. Are you looking to promote your videos in the most engaging way, but you don't have an animator and an editor? Whether you're an artist, musician, or business with a message to share, our lyric videos are designed to hook viewers and amplify your reach. Go to positivetalkradio.net/lyric vids. That's positivetalkradio.net/LYRICVIDS now to get started. Welcome back to Positive Talk Radio. We hope you enjoyed learning about our affiliate Lyric Vids, who specialize in creating captivating animated lyric videos. Now let's get back to the show.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, right here on the Brushwood Media Network. I hope you're enjoying this show, because I got to tell you something right now, that if you weren't listening to this show right now and you were to go find this online, it was going to cost you a bunch of money. So this is going to so we're doing this as a public service because Dr. Karen and her company are MK Circle Enterprises LLC are so good at what they do, and they've got so many services to offer that they can help you out. And she's extraordinarily knowledgeable. That's why I love to have her on, because I learn so much every time you're here. I get to learn a lot. So tell me, relationship selling of the 90s or automated selling of 2025, which is it?
Okay, so there's no one way.
Oh.
So what has happened, he's just old. So what has happened is that it's kind of diversified, right? So it really is now focused in on market segments. So, and what you did mention, and I know because you're over there in the 90s, but social media is a big piece of that, right? So not only that, so now I think companies have to look at the relationship piece, because there are certain customers who need that, right? And then you have to look at who's listening to the radio, that still exists, right? Who's looking at social media? How are we doing, email blasts? So I think it's a diversification now of a little bit of everything, because some will fill out a form online where others want to talk to somebody on the phone. Because here's the epiphany, though. The epiphany is there are 5 generations in the workforce who could possibly be your customers. 5. So we're going to count them. You have the traditionalists that are still working. Matter of fact, they're running our country. Hopefully not for soon. Nonetheless, they're still here, right? So who's running our country right now are we're called traditionalists. They're not boomers. Secondly, are boomers. Thirdly, are Gen X. Fourthly, millennial. And the last is Gen Z. They're all in the workforce. They're all consumers, where we have never had that many generations as a consumer, ever, ever. So to know that if I want to target my traditionalists, I do have to call them on the phone, right? If I want to target my boomers, I do need to call them on the phone, possibly email. They'll connect to that, possibly a little Facebook. They'll connect to that. But then if I keep going down generations, Xers want email, they want interaction, they want calls, they want everything, right? And then as you keep going down, it gets less. Millennials only want less communication. It's usually from a social media platform. It's usually from an email blast and Google threads. They're looking from that direction. And as you go to the Z's, they're really all technology. They're not even trying to see you, talk to you, or do anything with you. They want it all through the process of technology. So as a business coming in, going back to that pitch deck, you have to be clear about what that market is. What are you selling and who are you selling to? Key. Then you have to look at it from a generational perspective, not from a people perspective. Generational and psychological. You have to understand where their heads are of why they're going to buy or not buy, or interact or not interact. So it's important to understand that. You have to first know we have 5 different generations who are your customers now, not just one
That hardly
or
seems
3.
fair
It's the truth.
because we are, and somebody's eyes just glossed over again because it's like you have to have 5 different approaches, 5 different pitches for 5 different types of people, and you're trying to sell to everybody, and it's crazy, isn't it?
Right. Well, then it says, then you figure out your narrow, right? Of course, everybody's not trying to sell to everybody, but there are people who are trying to target everybody. And you can actually do that in one commercial. You could actually hit every single generation in one commercial. People are great at it. I mean, Nike is great at it. I mean, there are definitely ones, but sometimes they'll say, you know what, for this segment of the year, we're only going to target millennials. For this segment, I'm going to only target this. I mentioned earlier, pilots. Pilot where you want to target, but you have to just be aware that they're all there. And then you have to say which one is making the most money, especially if your product is high, price wise, right? If your product is priced at a higher tag price, you need to figure out who can buy it and who can't.
And why they would want to buy it.
And why they would. That's the psychological part, right? That's why psychology is crucial. And we teach it because we need people to understand what is their needs, what are their values of your customers.
And yeah, and it's it's hard, Dr. Karen. It's just so hard to figure it out and to be successful because you think that you're going to get that you've got the best chocolate chip cookie recipe in the world, and so you put the chocolate chip cookie recipe out, and then you find out that there are people that are vegan that won't have it. There are people that have a digestive thing that they can't have it, and stuff. So then you have to come up with more stuff. It's
Or not,
or
though,
not.
right? Or not, Kevin. If you say, look, I'm only going to give it to the cookie lovers who can eat it, because there's a customer base for that. So that's
Yeah.
the other thing. Sometimes I think businesses get kind of lost in, like, oh my God, now I got to have a vegan version. Not really. You could choose to have a vegan version, but you don't have to. There's plenty of cookie eaters out there who love milk, love butter, love all the ingredients, have no gluten problems. But then, yes, there are those who do. And so that's the beauty of this generational thing, because there's so many generations. You can focus in on the ones who are just going to buy your cookies. But yes, eventually, if we get to the point where the cookies start getting to the point where they're all going to be vegan, which is never going to all happen. It's never going to be all. Yes, it will keep moving around, but it's never going to be all. So that's another one of those pressures that you don't necessarily have to put on yourself. Pick your target and focus in on the target.
And then there are some real creative ways to go and get customers. As an example, if there is a cookie maker who's making cookies that are vegan, and you're a dentist, you're going to want to hook into with them because there's going to be a segment of their people who are going to break their teeth trying to eat their cookie.
Exactly. I mean, I totally believe in partnerships like such as that. I mean, we're seeing that more and more. You see more product placement now in shows and TV shows for that reason. So looking at the big brands, you see a lot more product placement. And product placement means that you'll look behind somebody and there's a bag of Skittles, or they'll pick up a bag of Skittles, or they'll pick up, a certain can of cola or bottled water. It's intentional. So they know that, oh, wait a minute, this audience who is watching this show are our clients, right? They're our buyers. So product placement doesn't belong just with the big boys, right? It definitely falls very much in where two businesses who can say, wow, your customer and my customer, I can actually fill a need for your customer base. But that means innovative thinking, right? Outside of the box thinking, knowing that, again, it's not a cookie cutter. It is definitely about how can I reach the most people. But I think it all circles back to, Kevin, one word: get a coach. More than one word, but hashtag get a coach.
Exactly, because you as a entrepreneur, you are terrific at whatever it is that you do, but you're not terrific at everything. Nobody is. Can't be. It's against the rules. I don't know who made the rules, but it's against those rules that everybody can be that somebody can be graded except maybe Michael Jordan. Okay, I'll give him that because he is
He
a
ain't good
goat.
at everything either.
Well, that's true. Although I wouldn't.
Name some things he's not great at.
I wouldn't want to bet against him. But by the way, we're talking with Dr. Karen. We need to take a station break. And when we come back, I want to ask her because, podcasting is a thing. And I don't know if she's got I'm going to ask her if she's got a lot of clients that are podcasters and or advertisers that are looking to get advertising or sponsor and that kind of stuff. So we need to take a quick break and we'll be right back. I'm having a great time. I hope you are too, Dr. Karen.
Absolutely. Having a ball, Kevin.
I will be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. I'm sorry. I just love that song. I just love to play that to make people go, what in the hell is he doing that for? In any event, I'm really happy to have you here. Dr. Karen is with us from MK Circle Enterprises, and go to mkcircle.com. She and her team make a terrific coaching system. They've got programs, they've got services, they've got small business programs, organizational training and services, HR services, assessments, resources. Don't let me forget, because I do want to talk before we go. I do want to talk about company culture as it relates to race relations and other things, and women's rights and that sort of things as it relates to a business. But before we go there, I have to ask you, because this is an important part for me, is that I'm doing Positive Talk Radio. Let me lay this out for you. I do Positive Talk Radio, and I have a sizable listener audience. But before I did that, I did my independence report, because we were declaring our independence from hate, division, and fear. And that also has a sizable listener audience. And it continues, even though I haven't posted anything there for like a year and a half, it continues to get people to go there and download it and listen to those shows. There are like 450 of them. And
Mhm.
I want to play. So I decided to bring it back. And this is how I've decided to niche it or niche it. How do you say it? Niche,
Niche,
what?
niche. You're right, niche.
Okay, so I want your opinion on this. Do you think that this has legs that it'll take hold? Welcome back to My Independence Report. Our mission is to help produce the best outcomes that will serve everyone, socially, politically, and environmentally. It's time to eliminate the hate, division, and fear so pervasive today. So let's create a positive change and support great people who will lead us in this quest for prosperity for all, hope, kindness, and love, regardless of sex, color, or lifestyle. Please join me as we work together to achieve our greatness and build a better nation. What do you think?
I think it's apropos for the time we're in, right? And just to think that you said this was before, right? So that just shows you that there's still this kind of up and down that will happen in our space of the world. But it would just be much as apropos now as it was then. If people, people hearing that would go like, "Wow, that's like perfect for this time." But it was definitely perfect for the time when you were doing it as well. So that just says that that continual type of education is necessary, because going back to what I said earlier, there are different generations every single century. And the Gen Alphas is crawling around and creeping up. So before you know it, right now they're in school, right? They're now in our K through 12 space. But before you know it, we'll be having to have that same conversation that particular podcast could have with them. So there's a lot of our Z's who are not really clear and not really understanding and really don't feel like they have a space that offers positive information. So it's just as apropos now, I believe, as it was when you started it. So it would work.
And that is going to be part of what we're doing. So we have positive talk, which is really about a personal thing for people that to come and to get better personally and to live their lives and to meet people like you, which is really really important
Yeah.
for people to have resources and to meet people like you. And the other one is like, okay, guys, we've tried hate, division, and fear for a long time. How's it working for us?
Right.
Doesn't seem to be doing all that well, in my opinion.
Right.
And we probably should try and work together to do something else in a more meaningful way. And so thank you. I'll
Absolutely.
take those.
Yeah. And I really think you could target the Gen Z market. I really think your millennial and Gen Zs would really see this as something that they need. And I could see them interacting with it, especially if you happen to bring on individuals that are in their age group as well, and connecting with those individuals. You could really see a shift in your audience as well.
You know, it was interesting. In one of the one of the early days of the show, I had I'm a firm believer in blended families, and you know what that is. And
Yep.
for those of you that don't, what that means is that not everybody's the same color, and it's because they're a blended family and stuff, and they all live in the same house and they all love each other, and that's what's important. And so I had 5 African American 20-year-olds on, and we were talking about, and this is around the time of George Floyd, so it was a
Mhm.
very tender time to be talking about this stuff.
Right.
And but we were talking about how they interact with the police when they get stopped, and how they're taught differently than I was ever taught.
Mhm.
And so they're sitting around the table, and they're telling me that, yeah, we put our hands on the steering wheel, we keep our eyes front and center, we
Yep.
don't talk unless we're spoken to, and we don't talk in a loud voice, and we're very polite, and we say yes sir and no sir. And I said, holy crap, really?
Yeah.
Because one time I got stopped, and I told this to him. I said, one time I got stopped, and I thought that he was wrong, that I got stopped because of the speed I was at. So I jumped out of my car and started walking towards them, and they said, "You did what?" And I
Yeah.
said, I started walking towards them and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And they all probably told you that they would have gotten shot.
They to a man. To a man said that the outcome would have been totally different for them. And by the way, we do have a caller who is talking about loves our conversation. Hello, all. The why are people going to buy it or support it to engage with it? Important question. I guess is the why.
Hmm.
Would you like to
I
comment
think
on
absolutely, absolutely. I think again, as when I think Kevin started it, there was probably a political time where there was a sense of a disconnect, right? There was a sense of disconnect. There was a sense of we were more about hate and not about peace. And I think we're just kind of feeling that same sense. I think a lot of individuals are feeling that same sense. And so I think the why would be to help people have an opportunity to hear or even discuss pieces of that, of why is it or why do I feel this way, and how can I change it, or is there something I can do, or how do I feel better? And so I think it's just an opportunity for an open forum to have some discussion, like you just sent a message via the email through the chat. I mean, I think it's important for an opportunity for people to hear positive things too. Sometimes our media has less positive and more negative. And so I think what it brings, as it clearly stated, was more of a positive change or positive shift on where we are today.
And I couldn't agree more. And one of the things that excites me about it is that we are not going to have people who are invested in the art form. And as we continue to go down, there has become clear to me that there is an art form behind hate, division, and fear. And
Hmm.
people are using it for their own nefarious purposes to achieve an end, more clicks, more votes from their particular group,
Hmm.
rather than looking at how are we, we're talking about Gen Z and the younger kids and stuff. How are we going to leave them a planet that they're going to be able to inhabit? and
Right.
and they're going to be happy about how things are going rather than hating each other and being divisive. And it really translates into your work in businesses. Hey, how do you like the segue? Businesses, as far as how you treat women, how you treat people of color,
Mhm.
how you promote women and pay them what they're actually worth, and those sorts of things, because that's camaraderie. That builds a team, I would think, doesn't it?
Mhm. Absolutely. I think where I think there's a disconnect is that there's a sense of awareness in organizations. Um, Again, there's an assumption that the organizations are doing it purposely. And I can't say that's always the case. I think some of it is just a sense of unawareness, right? Until it gets brought to their attention. And so, in our executive coaching side of the house, we teach individuals, not just women, of course, not just women of color, but we do find that women do struggle with talking about their value, right? Talking about what they bring to the table. Resumes are full of responsibilities. And my question is like, why isn't it full of your accomplishments? We have to shift the way we present ourselves. And I think a lot of individuals just wait on the employer to say at the end of the year and give you your evaluation and go, here's what I think. Why wouldn't you be setting the narrative for that? Why haven't you have a list of your accomplishments written down of who you are, what you've done, what you've brought to the organization, and that you set the narrative for that actual meeting? That you say to them, before we start, I would love to share all my accomplishments and everything that I've brought to the organization. So then that you can then say, and with that, I would love to be able to request more money, right? And we have a whole script of how we teach our clients to do that. So I do think that, yes, there is this sense of not awareness. I think that's there. I do also think there is some intentional personality in there too. But I do think the most of it is that we do not express our value. We just don't. We think this is the way it's supposed to go. And it isn't. We all get to, this is a dialogue between employer and employee, not an argument, a dialogue to be able to share, this is what I bring to the table. And this is what I plan to do. These are my goals to continue to build this organization or to be able to build my department or my area. Like those are the kind of dialogues and conversations that really should be had in with their leadership, with their, I mean, managing up. I know you've all may have heard that term, but how do you manage up? And so I think women, uh, individuals of color, individuals, period. I think there needs to be an equality on how we deliver our message of who we are and what we can bring to the table.
And I am sad to admit this, but as a white guy when I was younger, I actually had a conversation with my boss who was hiring me, asking me to sign an NDE, a non-disclosure agreement, so that I would not disclose how much I was getting paid because it was more than my counterparts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the intentional ones, right? So there are those that are very intentional about doing that. But it's amazing how many of them are just not aware. But then there's other ones that just we just don't ask. So if we ask and they say no, very different than if we ask and they go, oh, didn't think about that. Oh, I didn't know you did all of that. Oh, I didn't know you had all that work. And it's really, it happens often, more often that way. So it is, I think it's a combination again of we have to look at this thing from all areas and be able to hit it at all areas in order for it to dissipate.
Isn't it true that if you're not going to be a cheerleader for yourself, you can't be one for anybody else?
Yeah, well, kind of sort of. It's amazing how some people will help everybody else but won't help themselves. So that exists. I mean, I can that's a whole operational style actually, where individuals have this sense of I gotta keep doing this for others, but I don't need anything for me. And that's the same individuals. You go like, well, can I help you? And they go, no, 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 I got it. But then they go home and they're stressed out because they have so much to do, but they just had somebody ask them, could they help? And they said no. So it is, it's kind of like, you talk about a conundrum. That's definitely a conundrum where there's this sense of that I got to keep doing, got to keep helping. But then when you get offered help, you say no.
So is there a syndrome for that? I've already discovered one. Is it? It's just because I think I've got that one too.
Right, right. Well, see, that goes back to what I talked about our operational style, right? Those are the kind of things that we're able to help people see. And then we coach you through those things because coaching is not just about your professional career or your business or even, your personal space. It all blends. And for anybody who says, oh, I keep work separate, I keep this separate, there's no such thing because you're human and humans cannot separate like that. You wind up suppressing, which then you wind up getting ulcers. So either you have to figure out how do you integrate, because I don't believe there's such thing as a balance. There's no such thing in my opinion, and even in my research of work-life balance. There's no thing that balances, but there is a thing of integration, right? Where you integrate it in a way where you go like, I can pull back here. I end my day at 5, or I start this and I do this and I move and, because your emotions still exist. You're a human and you can't turn off emotions. You're suppressing them if you're not. And that doesn't say people should be at their job screaming and yelling and cursing and, putting out those kinds of emotion. And that's just one form of emotion. But it's more so of saying, if I'm having something that is bothering me, I need to process it. I need to take a minute, process it, right? And then be able to go to that person, my supervisor, and have dialogue. That's what we're meant to do. That's what we're supposed to do. But we create different environments that allow us not to.
And I'm willing to bet that one of the things that you'll tell people is to go sit in your car and listen to music for 5 minutes and calm down, or meditate, or so that you can you don't go into an office with your hair on fire. You can actually go and make a legitimate point that they'll understand without them going, oh, there she goes again, just getting emotional and
Right, right.
and
'Cause
stuff like
sometimes,
that.
I think there's so many ways, right? That's a great one. Radio, I breathing to me is one of the better. It's like it just allows me to kind of just get my heart down, right? Because if you're in that space, your heart rate is up. And if you got one of those Apple Watches on, it's telling you your rate is at 112 and you're just sitting still. So I think breathing is always another one, though. Sometimes it means that, you know what? I need to take a break. I need to step away and walk, whatever works for you. If it walk, radio, breathing, whatever it takes to just kind of take it down a notch. And if you still feel like, okay, I'm just not ready, then go home, process it when you get home, and then come back the next day. It doesn't have to happen right there then. Just because it happened then doesn't mean you have to have your reaction or communication then. You want to make sure that when you do get to deliver the message, that you're going to deliver an effective message that's going to actually help.
And sometimes that gives the other party time to think about their part in why'd you go home? I don't understand. What did I do? Why did she go home? And so that the next day you can have a much more reflective and meaningful conversation.
Absolutely. And Kevin, I'm telling you, my career before I started my companies, it was I've had experiences like that, right? Where especially coming from older generational ways of being led in leadership, people would yell at people, right? And so I've had experiences where people would yell at me and I would just be you talk about hair on fire, right? And I realized that when I stepped back, went away, come back, I had majority of those individuals say to me, you know what, I was wrong. I was a little heated because, the pressure is coming down because, pressure rolls down. We call it the other stuff. You've heard that term, right?
Oh, yeah.
It rolls down. So sometimes that rolling down can affect other people. And so it's one of those things that you're absolutely right, that it allows everybody to pause for strategy is what I call. Everybody gets to pause and then circle back and go, you know what? We let our emotions get the best of us and we all missed this situation, or I missed it, or you missed it, or whoever, and let's get back on track. Because at the end of the day, it's work.
That's right. And at the end of the day, and we'll talk about this when we come back because we got to take a quick break, but at the end of your life, it's not going to be about, boy, I wish I'd gotten that raise when I was 36. You're not going to give anything about that. You're going to want family. You're going to want a wonderful life. We're talking with Dr. Karen. We will be right back. We're going to get all of her information out so that you can go work with her. It really is an important thing to do. And by the way, you can't say rolls downhill, but you can say poop rolls downhill. I don't know why that works, but you can do it.
I just left it alone, Kevin.
And we will be back in 30 seconds.
They have your eyes. They have your ears. They have your smile. Now all they need is a little more of your time. Make a difference in your child's life, because anyone can be a father. It takes time to be a dad.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. See, I told you it was just going to be 30 seconds. And 30 seconds, you didn't even have time to get up and get a glass of water. So there. And by the way, we're talking with Dr. Karen, and Semien-Mcbride is her last name. But go to her website, which is MC Circle Enterprises LLC. No.
Okay.
Your website again is
mkcircle.com.
See, that's a whole lot easier. But because most people can't spell enterprise, but that's okay.
Yeah, just simple mkcircle.com. www.mkcircle.com.
Unless, of course, it's the Star Trek ship, the Enterprise. Anyway, but I got to tell you, you are delightful, and you are a lot of fun to have on, and you're very gifted and very experienced. And I want to thank you for everything that you bring to the table here today.
Absolutely, Kevin. I had a ball. We hang out. I love it. Just anytime. I'm any subject. Let's go. We can talk about it. I got plenty of stuff to talk about.
Boy, no kidding. So
Got
now
all
let's
this knowledge in my head that I need to spill out.
we've got about 4 minutes left, and that's not nearly enough time considering the weight of the subject matter. But I want to talk a little bit about how you feel we are doing as far as gender equality, um, uh, women's equality, color equality in the workforce. Are we improving, or do we still have a long, long, long way to go?
So I'll say this, and I can only speak from me as an action research person. Like I'm involved in this research, right? Where I remember where the glass ceiling was extremely thick. That there was no even idea of a woman running a Fortune 500 company, let alone just a Fortune $200 company. So it was very, very thick, in that sense. And then the idea of gender, and even in the LGBTQ community, like that whole thing had to be sacred. It was quiet. Nobody could say anything about it, right? So when I think about that space of looking at gender from all genders, and even looking at race, there's definitely been progression. We cannot deny that there's been progression, but there's also been this pushback with that progression, right? So the whole concept of affirmative action, no affirmative action, those are pushbacks always. But even with those pushbacks, I think what you find, and here's some stats for you. There are more women who have degrees from bachelor's, master's, and even doctoral. There are more women who hold those degrees than men, right? That's one. So education has been a big part of how the shift has happened, and I think in the women's space. And then out of that group, there are more Black women versus Caucasian women, right? Same concept, just this pushback has pushed forward. And so I really think that it's just not where we would love it to be. Absolutely not. Is it far away? That's a hard one to say. I think it all depends on what does it look like? What are we trying to actually get to? What does equality really mean for us all? Equal across the board, because does that mean we want women to play football? I mean, where are we at in that equality place? You know what I'm saying? So how do we define that? But I would say definitely there is progression, and I do still think there's roadblocks to that progression, and we have to reduce the roadblocks. We have to reduce the bottlenecks, so then that the progression can continue. That the bottom line, I think what we're all trying to get to is that it doesn't matter your color, your race, your creed, your religion. You're a human, and if you could do the job, hire the person to do the job. I think that's what we're trying to get to 100%. And that is still going to take some time, I would definitely say. But definitely coming from a place where I remember how thick the glass ceiling was. I grew up in a generation where my mom taught me that, hey, you got to learn how to cook, you got to learn how to clean, you got to learn how to do domestic things so then that you could get a husband. That was what I was taught.
Yep.
It was never said that, oh, you're going to go to college and get terminal degrees and be a researcher and own your own company. That wasn't what my mother was saying. It's not that she probably would have loved to have said that to me, but in the era, in the generation she was in, how would she say that? Because that would have been outside of what would be the norm. And her thought probably was, I don't want to give my child false hopes. Little did she know.
And I just want to point this out real quick. In my frame of reference, there is one more glass ceiling that needs to be broken, and that needs to be broken this fall. And I'm not going to, and it has to do with the election. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to tell you what to believe, but I will tell you this. If there is some candidate that's out there that believes in hate, division, and fear, he is not the person to vote for. That's all I'm going to say. Dr.
And
Carey,
I'm
thank
going
you.
to concur with what you're saying, but we're not telling people who to vote for because you're right. They got to make their own choices.
But do what's right and what's best for all of us, regardless of our color, our gender, or who we love. And I
agree
want to thank
100%.
Dr. Karen for being here. You're going to have to come back. I'm afraid we've got.
Absolutely. Anytime, any subject, Kevin.
I tell you, we do cover a lot, don't we?
Yes, we do.
So, Dr. Karen, go to her website, which is mkcircle.com. And
Yes.
thank you so much for being here, everybody. I've had a ball. I hope you enjoyed the show as well. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all we've got. That's Kevin@kmmedia.pro.